The men and women of 1st and 2nd Fleet were in a state of heightened emotions. Their fleets had just been sabotaged, leading to the destruction of the majority of the fleet's ships. An emotional outrage flowed through the ships like a fire. Blame was needed. The answer was simple. Who had observed our push into Xenon space? Who had watched as our ships as they were sieged by the Xenon? And who watched as our ships suddenly and helplessly lost control of their weapons? The Terran Protectorate. Our ships had been worked on by the Terran Protectorate after our mission with the Yaki. We had then been followed and watched by them ever since. They had sent an Asgard to follow our fleets into Xenon space, an Asgard that watched as the fleet's weapons were disabled and were crushed and slaughtered by the Xenon. An Asgard that simply watched as the whole of Gon Industries ships fled the sector. So when this Asgard flew back into C.O.H 1, where the broken and beaten fleets of Gon Industries stood, the fiery zeal of the fleets took hold. Answers were going to be given, even if they had to be pried from the mouths of the Terran. The Asgard fell into the hands of Gon Industries, and it was no surprise when it was found out from interrogating the crew that indeed the speculations of sabotage were true. The Terran Protectorate had a division within its ranks. Some were cautiously progressive, allowing interactions with the surrounding sectors and factions. This was the Terran Protectorate Gon Industries was familiar with. However, another secretive splinter group within the Terran Protectorate also existed, a group that clung to the old ways, isolation, humanity, and Earth-first extremism. This group was furious that the Terran Protectorate had allowed Gon Industries in so close, allowed for them to make such major decisions with and for the Terran, especially when it came to the Xenon and the Yaki. This drove this secretive splinter group to attempt to thwart Gon Industries. Gon waited, yet no repercussions came from the Terran. A blind eye had been cast on this incident. The Terran would neither claim responsibility for the sabotage nor acknowledge how Gon Industries was now in possession of a Terran-made Asgard. It was clear the Terran Protectorate wanted no part in this. Even more troubling was the friendly guise that continued to exist between the two factions. Much time had passed between the retreat from Xenon space and the seizing of the Asgard. During this time, Gon Industries spent much of its time fixing its internal economy, allowing for better wares and credit flow, as well as, and more importantly, quicker ship creation. A new strategy had been formulated with the company. Gon Industries was spread too thin. 1st and 2nd Fleet could not carry Gon Industries all on their own like they had been, so a new fleet was constructed, Defense Fleet Aegis, flagged shipped by the seized Asgard, now named Nvidian 1, a callback to Gon Industries' simpler time as a mining organization. This fleet stood on the border of C.O.H 1 and Xenon space, dealing with the now irritated Xenon. while 1st and 2nd Fleet were sent to Second Contact 2 Flashpoint to deal with the Holy Order of Pontifex. This would allow for a better dispersion of forces and hopefully take the pressure off of a singular fleet having to operate on so many different systems and fronts. The seized Asgard was a powerful weapon, yet it was nothing without support. While it did surround itself with a contingency of Argon behemoths, the fleet would need more support, so a new Colossus Vanguard carrier was ordered from our Argon allies to be built for the Defense Fleet Aegis. This would give the new fleet a sense of combat maneuverability to deal with a plethora of threats that the larger ships would struggle to contend with. While the Defense Fleet Aegis was continuing to be bolstered, the 1st and 2nd Fleet were finding much needed success in Second Contact 2 Flashpoint. The Holy Order were on a constant crusade to take the system back one way or another, either through brute force or through trying to sneak stations into the system. The 1st and 2nd Fleet had become experts in finding and denying these construction projects. The Holy Order found themselves unable to get a foothold in the sector, losing station after station. The two fleets would be left here to continue their patrols and asset denial missions. Back in Hatikva's Choice 1, the Xenon had yet to stop sending attack craft through the gate. This had slowed the repairs of the defense platform Leonidas. Luckily, the Defense Fleet Aegis had been bolstered enough to the point that the Xenon had become little more than an annoyance. And after seeing the success of the Asgard and its extremely powerful nose laser against larger Xenon targets, a test was suggested. If the Asgard had the capabilities to slice sized K Xenon capital ships in half, what would happen if it was fired at a Xenon station? The forces within Gon Industries were also hungry to push back into Xenon space to show the Terran Protectorate that the sabotage would not slow us. So a thumbs up was cautiously given to proceed back into Xenon space with the Defense Fleet Aegis. Needless to say, the results were speaking for themselves. The Asgard swiftly burned through the Xenon station. The main forward laser outranged any of the Xenon defenses, so the Asgard sieged the Xenon station with relative ease. The rest of the fleet stood further back in a defensive position. The Xenon station was no threat at the moment, however the Xenon were more than likely drifting just out of view waiting to attack. As the defensive modules fell and were destroyed, an order was given to the rest of the fleet. They would push in and destroy the now undefended parts of the Xenon station, expediting the process. This, however, is exactly what the Xenon were waiting for. As my fleet broke its defensive positions to assist in destroying the station, 2 Xenon Class K destroyers and Xenon fighter wings fast-traveled right onto my spread-out fleet. The order was given to pull back from the station and attack the immediate Xenon threat. However, the Behemoths and Sins struggled to form a good firing line, while the Asgard began receiving heavy bombardments from the Ks and the Xenon fighters. The Asgard may have powerful weapon systems, but it also had major flaws. It is incredibly slow, making it hard to get on target, and it also has low shields and armor for a ship of its size, making it an easy target without support. The Xenon were playing on these weaknesses, skirting out of view of the Asgard's weapons and focusing fire on it, decimating its shields. Finally, the Asgard was able to focus its targets, wiping the first, and then the second, of the Xenon Class K destroyers out of existence. This really highlighted the flaws with the ship and fleet layout. The fleet, once separated, was extremely vulnerable to attacks. Just this one push from the Xenon had caused a loss of 2 Behemoth capital ships. All operations would require a tight formation and support from all involved ships, but this incursion and experiment also showed us something great. The indestructible Xenon stations were indeed destructible. In a matter of a few short moves, this single fleet had managed to destroy an entire Xenon station. The Defense Fleet Aegis was gathered back together in order to push further into Xenon space. No Xenon station was safe now. Momentum was now on our side, and those in Gon Industries were now armed with a really big laser. Thank you again for watching. This was a victory that Gon was needing. This Asgard is going to be a game changer, but that is if we can keep it alive. This thing is made out of tinfoil and duct tape. The Xenon also know this and focus their attacks heavily on the Asgard. Its defense will be paramount, but if we use it properly, this can actually carve a hole right through Xenon sectors to help us liberate this Yaki that we have sitting out that are just stuck in their own little system out there. The Terran Protectorate have fallen silent. They are probably heavily involved in their internal political dilemma of ideology. Some want to be progressive and cautiously expand, while others are just wanting to turtle in and shut everyone else out. Kind of much like the Yaki, an internal civil war might actually be on the horizon for them. I'm actually working on a small graphic novel that depicts the sabotage incident from last episode in more detail. I was wanting that to come out before this, but it was just taking too long, so expect that at some point. I also want to personally thank my YouTube members and patrons. This video would not be coming out without your support. I mean it. I lost my job due to this pandemic, so I'm taking this plunge into YouTube being my job here, and so that's not at all stressful. So thank you. Gon Fleet Admiral Gary, I salute you, sir. Your new fleet, your Defense Fleet Aegis, it's just beautiful. The flagship, the Nevidian one, is still going strong, and it's got that big sexy laser on the nose of it, and actually it might save us from the Xenon. It might be our Xenon delete button, which I'm in love with your fleet right now. Gon ship Captain Red Dot 7, your capital ship, the Scarlet K9 7, is hanging out with the First Fleet, one of the few Behemoth ships to actually make it out of there. Hopefully I can get it some more support. Gon Frigate Officer Lucy Poole, your frigate, the Sardothian, is at the First Fleet as well. One of the also frigates to actually make it out. Actually, the frigates did really well surviving the First Fleet, which is actually surprising. Desgard UK, sir, your frigate, the Desi, is part of the Expeditionary Fleet Osiris. I think that's currently hanging out in Argon Prime, patrolling, looking for pirates. Pirates have been showing up, so your ship's supporting all that. Gon Frigate Officer Joel Braz, your frigate, the RCHF Neutrophil, is also with the Anti-Pirate Task Force, helping the Expeditionary Fleet. So you're both coordinating with each other, taking out things with in Argon Prime. Gun Frigate Officer Jesse Louis Favela, your frigate the Little Lady, survived everything, is with the 1st Fleet and fighting on the front lines in second contact to Flashpoint against the Holy Order of Pontifex. Gunfighter Pilot Dulcina, your ship the Romulus, is with the 2nd Fleet, hanging out also in second contact to Flashpoint, doing God's work against the Holy Order. Gunfighter Pilot Peter, your fighter the Ascending Fury, is with the Expeditionary Fleet Osiris as well. They're really doing a good job protecting Argon Prime against all the little troublesome pirates that we're dealing with over there. If you want to support, if you want to help as well, my Patreon and memberships can be found on my homepage of my YouTube channel, as well as the Patreon link should be down below. Thank you so much again for those who are just sitting here and watching this video. You two are such a huge help. Liking and sharing has helped my videos get more traction, and commenting is a great way for the algorithm to deem my videos worthy. I really appreciate all of you. I'd give you a hug if I could. I have a Discord if you want to join and chat. We also do Arma Ops every Saturday. These are a good, they're a good time. You can come and join and chat. We have our Arma group, our little ragtag gang needs. We're fighters. We are noob friendly. So just come over and have fun. We just want to have fun. Thanks again. I really hope all of you are healthy and safe during these trying times. We are here for one another, and we need to support each other the best we can. Don't let the stresses eat you up. Reach out, and let's just kind of be a support for each other. Stay safe, stay healthy, and most of all, love one another. Thanks again. Peace.